folks, 9.3. 9.3 is all about the quadratic formula. Hopefully you've seen this before. In some math classes, they teach you to sing it to, I think, Pop Goes the Weasel. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4. Say all over 2a. Okay. They make you do that in math teacher school. Problem number 9.3. I wrote it down. What was this one? Problem number 114. Let's see. They use the letter n. I switched it to x. It doesn't matter. So rather than doing the x method, the x method sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes it works. But the quadratic formula is cool because it always works. So oftentimes people see this formula and they're like, oh, wow, why didn't you just give me this to begin with? I really didn't like the x method. I'll just always do this. And then I'd say, well, the x method is faster sometimes. And then they would say, but I can just always use this. And I'd say, fair enough. Okay. So when we're given an equation, we usually say it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 in descending order, x squared, x, no x. And the guy in front of the x squared, the coefficient is a. The coefficient of x is b. You like this fancy word, coefficient? And then the number sitting alone, the constant, is c. Okay, so maybe the first couple times you do this off to the side, you just write down a, b, and c equal. A is 4, b is negative 9, c is 5. Okay, and then you just plug everything into the formula. So just be careful, right, with there's a negative 9. So negative b, so see how I use a lot of parentheses, plus or minus the square root of b squared, negative 9 squared, minus 4, parentheses, a is 4, c is 5. Am I just putting everything in parentheses? Yes. So if you just put everything in parentheses, it'll always work out nicely. The problem is you do a couple of these, and then you think you don't need the parentheses, and you start doing them faster and faster, but you might make mistakes. Just be careful. 9 plus or minus square root, negative 9 squared is 81, minus 4 times 4 times 5. See, 4 times 5 is 20, times 4 is 80, minus 80, all over 8. So that's going to be 9 plus or minus square root of 81 minus 80 is 1, all over 8. So bring it over here. That's 9 plus or minus. The square root of 1 is 1, 8. Okay, so now that's 9 plus 1 over 8, and that's 9 minus 1 over 8. That's 8 over 8, which is 1, and this is 10 over 8, which reduces to 5/4. So we get answers of x being 5/4 or 1. See? Super easy. What could they do to confuse us? Oh, basically, see how there's a square root? So if you get a square root there of a negative, remember, whenever there's a square root, right, we had square root of 1, positive. Okay, cool. If it's a square root of a negative, you just get to stop and say no real number, or not, what does the book say? Not real number. Something like that. Not real number. Okay, let's try 126, we'll try. 126. Y squared plus 4y minus 4 equals 0. So you always have to have the right side as 0. It always needs to be in descending order, set equal to 0 in order to use the quadratic formula. Okay, so negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a. Oh, a is 1. C is negative 4. You would have preferred had I written it out like that? 1, 4, negative 4? Sure. All over 2 times a. 1. Okay, so that's negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 plus 16? Negative 4, negative 4. All over 2. Negative 4 plus or minus root 32 all over 2. Ooh, the square root of 32. Can't we break that apart? So do a little factor tree, break it apart. I'm going to be fancy. So that's negative 4 plus or minus. I like to think of this as root 16 times 2. 16 times 2 is 32. because that's just going to be negative 4 plus or minus. I'm ignoring the denominator for a second. 4 root 2. So this is, that was all over 2, that's all over 2. So bring this over here. Negative 4 plus or minus 4 all over root 2, or root 2 all over 2. So maybe you want to even say x equals that. So x equals this mess. Okay, so it's almost done, but then you say, can I reduce? So if you're going to reduce the bottom, it has to go with both of them. Be very careful. So if this was like not a, like if it wasn't there, I couldn't reduce it. I have to reduce this 2 with both of them up there. So the 2, because technically speaking what's happening is I'm factoring out a 2 from the top, but the 2 cancels with those, so that's going to be, that becomes a 1. So 2 goes into here twice, 2 goes into here twice. So 2 plus or minus 2 root 2 all over 1. No need to write it over 1, so the final answer is x equals 2 plus or minus 2 root 2. Okay. 136, and then you should be good. 136. 136. X plus 2, x plus 6 equals 21. Main thing to remember is that whenever you're solving, no matter how you did it in the past or how you're doing it now, the right side always has to be 0. Okay, so we need to bring that 21 over. Well, let me just multiply this mess out first. X squared, I'm going to do the foiling in my head. And then subtract 21. Squared plus 8x. 12 minus 21. What is that? Negative 9. Okay, now you might be able to just factor that in your head, right? So sometimes you go, oh, I can just factor that in my head and get the answer. Let me just do that really quickly and show you that if you can factor something, it's faster. X plus 9 minus 1. Multiply that, add that. So I get an answer of negative 9 and 1. Or, let's say you don't even want to think. You just like being a robot. You say, oh, I got it down into ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is 1, b is 8, c is negative 9. Okay, quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 plus 36 all over 2. Negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 100 all over 2, which gives us negative 8 plus or minus square root of 100 is 10 all over 2. It's got messy, which gives us our, negative 8 plus 10 over 2, and it gives us negative 8 minus 10 over 2. It gives us 2 over 2, which is 1. It gives us negative 18 over 2, which is negative 9. Oh, that answer. Oh, is this not on here the whole time? Hopefully you can see it. All I did was plug in there. Just in case I wasn't paying attention to the video. So from here, I broke it apart with the plus, with the minus, got that answer, got that answer. So quadratic formula always works. If you're good at factoring, it's a lot faster. Okay, cool, 9.3, easy peasy.